Melbourne's iconic laneways and along suburban strips are retail gems. The Fashionista's Guide to Shopping in Melbourne celebrates the stores that are a must visit. Let's go and check out some of our top 10 boutiques. Tucked in a city arcade, Alice Euphemia is renowned for nurturing young designers.
Alice Euphemia started 16 years ago. We've just celebrated our birthday and we're interested in stocking Australian designed and made labels. We throw in the odd New Zealander from time to time, but always Australian made. We deal with a lot of emerging brands as well. That's something we really enjoy is working with people as they're just beginning their businesses. Melbourne retail is interesting and exciting to me, I think, because there are so many independent boutiques. There's so many surprises and hidden wonders to be found underneath train stations and in laneways and upstairs, and I think it's that sense of discovery that makes it really fun. It's so great to be part of the Fashionista's Guide. I'm especially excited that we're part of the top 10. I think that's a really exciting thing for us, and it's such a gorgeous publication, and we're amongst some really great company and some really great friends. So yeah, I'm looking forward to spreading the word about it.
Christine Barrow is Melbourne's accessories queen. Her boutique is world famous, and where to find the fragrances worn by Princess Grace and Cary Grant.
In my mind, I wanted a place that was removed from the street, because I just said, if you've got your product right, the consumer will find you, and they do. I see Christine as a one-stop shop for designer accessories, and an important part of that is a fragrance, because above and beyond the layering of an accessory is the smell. And Creed is a house that started in the 1700s in England, but Princess Eugenie lured them to France in the 1800s. So they made for the royal courts of Europe. Philip Tracy's collection, which we've just opened up for the Spring Racing Carnival, his iconic sort of shape of this season is the oval pillar box, which he first showed on Beckham at the royal wedding. When I think about it, I've grown with Philip's success, and it's absolutely his moment right now. I'd have to say he is the world-class milliner. Historically, Melbourne's climate allows us to dress better. The further north you go, the less you wear. And Melbourne is about being a more European city, and Sydney's more an LA city, so they're very different points.
Named after the French fashion quarter, Magee Enterprises is where A-list actors and musicians shop when they're in town. This grand boutique with a dark, edgy European feel carries world-renowned fashion houses like Balenciaga and Givenchy, and tops up the collection with carefully selected smaller labels. Madame Virtue & Co is both a vintage salon with Chanel handbags and a red carpet couturier to the stars.
Madame Virtue & Co is a very small independent French boutique. We specialise in offering Melbourne the most beautiful things in fashion and couture. So we bring in international labels from Lanvin to Vivienne Westwood to Balenciaga to all the Dutch and Japanese designers, and we also have our own Madame Virtue & Co couture label. It's all done with safety pins that have been baked in gold.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yes. So I did this one by hand myself.
How long did that take to do?
About 3.5 months. Also, Madame Virtue & Co has got the biggest stock in the Southern Hemisphere of vintage Chanel and Hermes, and that's from accessories to jewellery to handbags. Lady Gaga purchased some vintage Chanel handbag from us. This is all hand beaded, so they're actually opaque paillettes, and they're all hand beaded and hand embroidered. It's a prototype of a gown that we created for Mrs. Geoffrey Rush, Jane Menelaus, to wear to the Oscars when Mr. Geoffrey Rush was being nominated for the King's Speech.
Grace Boutique has luxury labels that have previously been hard to find in Australia. At Grace, you can splash out on investment pieces or grab a book or a bar of gourmet chocolate for a quick hit. Grace Boutique is where to shop for a classic carbon leather jacket or cashmere knit. ML Vintage is one of the world's best vintage stores with 4,000 unworn designer pieces. Hello, lovely to see you.
Nice to see you
lovely
too.
Mwah.
In the 70s, I imported and represented for Australia all the labels like Courrèges and Missoni and Versace and all these labels. And a lot of these things are leftovers. I've got a whole lot of Courrèges, the reason being Courrèges, I had a large consignment delivered in 1972, and it arrived 1 week after France dropped the bomb in the Pacific, and Australia black banned everything French for 2 years. So my merchandise went backwards and forwards. There's a lot of history here.
Wow.
Gianni Versace, when he did this collection for the more mature woman, nothing here has ever been worn. That whole shipment of Courrèges never been worn. And I had a lot of boutiques all over the place, and these are a result of them. I had my own boutique in Myers, and they asked me to increase my order for them of Missoni, and I increased my order, and I wasn't very clever dealing with department stores. I didn't have a contract with them. Everything was so elegant, and I really only like elegant things.
Yes.
Well, Rosita Missoni has told me that I have the largest collection of Missoni, of vintage Missoni in the world. Vintage clothing appreciates with age. It gets more valuable. So it's an investment. It really is an investment.
Scanlon and Theodore is famous for their impeccable tailoring. Opulent fabrics and sleek modern design make it a cult favourite among generations of Melbourne women. Scanlon and Theodore is adored by fashion editors, celebrities and stylists for their own wardrobes. The Louvre is the stunning designer salon that inspired the phrase, the Paris end of Collins Street.
The Louvre is Australia's oldest and most exclusive boutique. It is our 90th birthday this year. And we like to say that we stock the best of the best from all over the world. We stock Celine, Lanvin, Yves Saint Laurent, Stella McCartney, Chloe, and lots of other brands sort of that calibre. The Louvre coined the phrase Paris end of Collins Street because when it moved to its position in Collins Street, there were no other boutiques there. There were only doctors' houses there, and obviously that was hence called Paris end of Collins Street because everybody followed suit and moved up that way. This new space was basically an empty shell, and we turned it into what it is today about sort of two and a half years ago. We also bought some of the furniture from the old store, so like some of the French desks upstairs, the foo dogs that used to sit below the staircase, the windows from the old store that we've now turned into tabletops. I think the Fashionista's Guide is a fantastic resource. As we all know, Melbourne is the best shopping city in Australia, and I have to say, I do travel all over the world, and I have to say it's one of the best shopping cities in the world as well. So the Fashionista's Guide is a fantastic resource to actually have, you know, the best stores of the best shopping city in Australia.
So there you have it. To discover the most beautiful boutiques, handpicked by style experts, pick up a copy of the Fashionista's Guide to Shopping in Melbourne.